A reading from the book of the prophet Isaiah. You, Lord, are our Father. Our Redeemer, you are named forever. Why do you let us wander, O Lord, from your ways, and harden our hearts so that we fear you not? Return for the sake of your servants, the tribes of your heritage. Oh, that you would rend the heavens and come down, with the mountains quaking before you, while you wrought awesome deeds we could not hope for, such as they had not heard of from of old. No ear has ever heard, no eye ever seen any God but you doing such deeds for those who wait for him. Would that you might meet us doing right, that we were mindful of you in our ways. Behold, you are angry, and we are sinful. All of us have become like unclean people. All our good deeds are like polluted rags. We have all withered like leaves, and our guilt carries us away like the wind. There is none who calls upon your name, who rouses himself to cling to you. For you have hidden your face from us, and have delivered us up to our guilt. Yet, O Lord, you are our Father. We are the clay, and you the potter. We are all the work of your hands. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
Time magazine reports that there are 46.2 million Americans now living underneath the poverty line. Of course, we don't need the magazine to know that. We see that right in our own hometown. Just this week, the newspaper reported that the Boy Scouts have found a significant drop in their donations for their annual food drive. Meanwhile, area food shelters are expecting double the need over last year. This is the sort of poverty that leads people to do desperate things, like the thieves who stole baby supplies from a Center for Women in southwest Missouri. Of course, American poverty is nothing compared with the devastating poverty and destruction found all around the world. Food for the Poor reports that nearly half of Guatemalan children under the age of 5 are critically malnourished, and Guatemala is not even the worst off. In other news, new figures from the UN Weather Agency show that the 3 biggest greenhouse gases not only reached record levels last year, but were increasing at an ever faster rate, despite efforts by many countries to reduce emissions. Why do you let us wander, O Lord, from your ways, and harden our hearts so that we fear you not? You might say it this way: God, why did you let things get this bad? If you really cared, why don't you do something about it? If you would just rend the heavens and come down with the mountains quaking before you, maybe then we would be woken up out of our complacency. We cry out with the psalmist this Sunday, Lord, make us turn to you. Make us, because you can't expect us to turn to you on our own, can you? You promise awesome deeds that no ear has ever heard, no eye ever seen. But we're still waiting. A woman in South Carolina uses 2 hollowed-out Bibles to try to smuggle weapons, drugs, and a cell phone into a prison inmate. A California teenager pleads guilty to second-degree murder for killing a gay student during a computer lab class. Former Iowa elementary school principal sentenced to 30 years in prison for secretly videotaping dozens of young male students using the bathroom. A Missouri man cashes his elderly mother's security check while she lies literally rotting to death in her home. A Las Vegas man stabs his 3-year-old daughter in the chest, shoots her mother, and then kills himself, leaving all 3 bodies in an abandoned vehicle on a desert road. All right, so it's our fault. Our guilt makes us like those withered leaves carried by the wind. Maybe we haven't done such obviously terrible things as those in the news headlines, but we do have some pretty scary things going on right inside ourselves. Sometimes I wonder, how fragile is that barrier that keeps me from being one of those headlines? Even our best intentions, all our good and holy works become like polluted rags, undone by failures and so many selfish motivations hiding among the good ones. Indeed, I wish that God might meet us doing right, but I scramble to find something I'm convinced is worth showing Him. Am I alone in this? Or is it really true that there is none who calls upon your name, who rouses himself to cling to you? Is it possible that this preaching could get any more depressing? Is there any chance of a joke somewhere soon? Well, the truth is that things are not simple, and they're not easy. To deny evil and suffering throughout the world would be a lie. But if we're honest with ourselves too, we see how much chaos is going on in our own hearts. And we blame God for not helping us to prevent or at least clean up the mess. It seems so often that this loving Father who has promised, I myself will shepherd you, my people, has hidden His face. And so we doubt, we moan, maybe we throw in the towel. But the writer here in Isaiah doesn't leave us in this hopeless state. Otherwise, we would all be like that man who killed himself and his family on the roadside. Somewhere there is a message of hope, some good news that rises above. Our author here is honest and cynical, trying to make sense of all the evil around and within, but eventually they find an insight that calms the storm. Yet, O Lord, you are our Father. We are the clay and you the potter. We are all the work of your hands. While there's no sky-rending going on, no burning bush, no nighttime visits from spirits to soften our humbug hearts, still God is our Father, the one who made us and who never gives up on us. Maybe right now is not the time for a drastic cutting away of clay, but a time when barely perceptible details are being carved out. Many in Jesus' time failed to have faith because God was not doing what they expected. Have we too hardened our hearts, closing ourselves off from grace, dismissing the quiet movement of the Spirit as not good enough? This potter is only going to work on the clay that is not hardened, that is not resistant to his tools. Have we been open to seeing only the finished product so as to miss the work of art in progress? I can't tell you what God, the divine potter, is doing that you aren't noticing. But if you're coming up short in looking for the work of His hands, I suggest you begin by looking across the room.